BBC Radio 4's Today programme was taken off air this morning after an alarm ordered people to leave the building. The Monday morning show was disrupted by an alarm which could be heard saying, "Please leave the building immediately by the nearest exit." One of the presenters told concerned listeners, "You may be able to hear we have a little alarm going on here," as the studio was evacuated. The popular morning program came back on air around 20 minutes later as Nick Robinson tried to explain what had occurred, and claimed it was a false alarm. Despite that noise saying there was an emergency, as far as we can tell, there wasn't, he said. Nick later shared a picture of himself and co-host Martha Kearney as they patiently waited outside the studio in the freezing weather following the evacuation. "Emergency over. If there was one, we're now back in the studio," he told his relieved followers. The presenters said they would try and carry on with the show when the alarm first began to sound at 7:30 a.m., and Nick and Martha continued talking before the noise started up again. "You may be able to hear we have a little alarm going on here, but shall we wait until someone looks vaguely panicky?" Nick quipped. "Well, maybe it is going to be quite hard to carry on with this kind of alarm going on in the background," Martha told listeners, as she described a similar incident when she was hosting the Woman's Hour show and was evacuated because of a fire. Nick then suggested it was unusual for the alarms to go off in the studio, so he said the show would go to a pre-recorded report to allow us to work out what is going on. Listeners then heard a report on Ghislaine Maxwell's trial, and the show was taken off air until 7:55 a.m. There has been no official confirmation as to what prompted the alarm to go off, but hosts Nick and Martha said it was a false alarm. "Despite that noise you may have heard saying there was an emergency, as far as we could tell there wasn't actually an emergency. We had to follow procedures and we did, and we were outside in the cold for a little while, but we're relieved to be back in the Today program. We will now continue as before, normal service will resume," he told listeners.